Ready for some fat white guy shit? Yeah. April 5th, 1981. I came into this world and my parents named me Joshua. Hi, I'm Josh. Nice to meet you. Hey. So I guess I should start off by saying I'm too mediocre to have a podcast. And let's be real, do we need any more mediocre white guys having podcasts? I don't think so. So I decided to do this instead. It really is nice to see you, even though I can't really see you because of the lights. And that's how I like it. I guess I should tell you a little bit about this story, my story, or what part of my story is all about. When I was 17, I was diagnosed with ADD, and then that later got turned into ADHD a few years later. And there are some people, including myself, that think there might be a little bit more to that. Now, this is embarrassing. It shouldn't be, but it kind of is. So when I was younger, I would do this thing. When I got really excited, I would feel this intensity, and I'd bring my fingers to my nose, and then I'd rub it like this. I mean, try it. It's satisfying, at least to me. Now, it was like I felt this energy bubbling up, and it needed to be released. And that's where it went. And then I'd feel happy and content. Now, I have a large extended family, and I love them. And I know they wouldn't do anything on purpose. But as I got older, they started mentioning it. Almost like it was a token gesture, something that I could be singled out for. And I felt really self-conscious. So I'd feel that energy and that excitement bubbling up. And then when I'd feel my fingers come to my nose, I'd shove them in my pockets or underneath my arms to stop myself from what I was doing. And every time I did that, it was like I jerked myself on a dog leash. I'd still do it when I was alone, though. And even as I get more eld, I do it less and less, but I still do it. 1994-ish, time blindness is a thing. I was in a math class in junior high school. My math teacher's name was Miss Karanchki. I had such a hard time in that class. I just couldn't keep anything straight. It was algebra. I know. Fuck algebra, right? I have since come around to that way of thinking, but at the time I was focused on something a little bit different. If I didn't keep my grades up, I couldn't play hockey. And that was my life at the time. It's all I wanted to do. It's all I thought I was good at. And I thought I was pretty good at other things. But man, when I played, it was like the world, the universe melted away. It was invigorating. It was liberating. My body would just do. It was like watching myself during an out-of-body experience. But this fucking math teacher, things got so bad that she called my mother, who was a teacher in another school, for a parent-teacher conference. Now, years later, my mom told me how that went. This is paraphrased and abridged. We talked about your difficulties, she said. None of the other kids are having any problems in the class. Well, did you talk to him about what he's having trouble with? Yes, and he doesn't seem to care or even understand. Your son is stupid. You're telling me that my son is stupid? Yes. You, teacher to another teacher, are telling me that my son is stupid? Yes, and I don't think I've ever met one stupider. How my mom didn't get 3 to 5 that day is beyond me. That was okay, because that meant I got to go to a school where I could play hockey. And it was a private school. Classes were smaller. There was an extra help period built in every day. It felt like the teachers wanted us to succeed. I felt valued, and I didn't feel stupid. Then it was time for me to matriculate to a larger high school. It was close to home. I could still play hockey, but it was bigger, and there were more people. I had a hard time day one, and I thought it was going to be like the place I just came from. I thought it was going to feel like home. It did not. I was sitting in a French class halfway through my junior year, and I just started sobbing and having a meltdown. And I didn't know where it came from, and I was yelling, scaring my classmates, and I didn't know what brought it on, but I knew something was wrong. It was wrong. I was wrong. Eventually, they took me out of class and they brought me to an office. I spoke to the dean of students, and I spoke to the school therapist, and then eventually I spoke to a psychiatrist, Dr. Diamond. He was long and frail, and he spoke with a languishing tone like a transatlantic accent on black tar heroin after a 3-day bender. Don't ask me how I know that. Or do later. Tell me about how you felt. I don't know if there's much to tell. I just was scared, and I'm so scared. Why didn't you think before you had such an outburst? I don't think anyone likes me, and I can't sleep, and I can't think straight, and I'm scared, and I just want to go home. Sounds like depression. Clinical at that. We're going to prescribe you Prozac, and judging by your size, an extra heavy dose. Eventually, they asked me to leave that school. Medication was making things harder for me. I don't know if you've tried medication from the 90s, but woo! They were pretty hardcore, especially when you are an underdeveloped 17-year-old brain who was prescribed an extra dose because you are heavy. I wanted to cry so many times, and I just couldn't. My brain wouldn't let my body release. I lost interest in everything. Hockey, gone. Writing, gone. What I was forming to be my identity, gone. I eventually graduated from a small public high school. I still had a lot of the same problems, though. But why? Why would you put yourself through that? Well, easy, because I'm different. I'm neurodivergent. Now, the term neurodivergence really didn't exist when I was younger. There wasn't a whole lot of discourse or discussion on how brains process things or work differently, and my brain really did process things differently. Like, all I wanted to do when I was in school was to be part of groups, even though I felt like I was on the outside. It felt like all the cool kids would say, hey, do this thing, and you can sit at our table. And then I would do the thing, and then I would go sit at their table, and they'd go walk away. And even the people I did sit with, like there was this girl, I'm gonna stop for a second. I am not a victim here or anywhere. I've said and I've done some terrible things, sometimes knowing, but most of the time not. And in this case, I had no idea what I did wrong. She said, no one in the school or the class likes you. Even if it wasn't true, it hurt. All I wanted was to be accepted, and yet here was yet another instance I wasn't. So much so that there was someone who I considered a really good friend, and they were spewing lies and rumors about me behind my back. I felt betrayed. I felt sad. I stopped taking the medication at this point, and I I felt more. Things felt more raw. And I felt even more confused about what it was I was supposed to do. And then I saw everybody pairing off. And at this point, do you think that this was the right time for me to go on a quest for romantic love? I'm sure someone is shaking their head. No, you're 100% correct. It was a terrible idea, but I tried and I failed again and again because that's what everyone else was doing. And I thought it was going to fix things because I wanted to be like them. I wanted to act like them. And this carried through my university and into my adult working life. Now, what do I do for work, you may ask? Well, you may ask. Well, when I'm not on the stage just kind of bearing my soul to people, I work in IT. Yes, yes. Information technology, where there is little information and mediocre technology. I was always the friend or family member who would help people with their tech. And when I started working for a certain fruit company that makes phones that start with the letter I was on a couple of speed dials. And that was cool because I lived in London and I was able to work for them. London was interesting. I had some really interesting customer interactions. You're a weird one. Only on days that end in Y. If my mum and I are on the same account, can she see what's on my screen even if she's in the other room? Only if she looks really, really, really closely. No, she cannot. What's in your drinking water to make you so funny? Sugar and spice and just the right amount of meth. I even did the finger guns. My coworkers loved it. I liked London. I liked my coworkers. I felt generally accepted by the culture, even if people said that I was weird or off, funny. I guess I just didn't realize that they were being mean to me. I was really more focused on what I had to do. Oh, and the fact that I could play hockey again. Yeah, hockey in London. I had a coworker who was a goalie, and he said, "Hey, you play?" I said, "Yeah, bring your stuff." So I did. And it was great. I got to skate again consistently, something routinely. And I got to revisit something that was so affirming when I was younger. It was fantastic. And then eventually I had to move back to the States and I started a new hobby, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now at this point, I was no longer with that company, but I was still staying in IT. Now, why does that matter? Because I was able to play hockey and do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was able to move my body consistently, routinely. I felt stronger. I felt more flexible. I was able to focus on something that wasn't work, which was great because I hate my job. Now, IT is pretty mundane. One day, one of my coworkers shared a story with me. Now, one day my wife brought me a salad. Now, it wasn't really a salad. It didn't have any chicken or croutons or cheese. Now, how is that a salad? Let's blow by the fact that his wife brought him food. We unpack that a later day. Now, what I heard was, "Oh, wife, why was there no chicken or croutons or cheese on my salad? Oh, my heart is broken. Why have you dashed my soul and shattered my will to live? Oh, wife, oh, no, why me?" I think about that all the time. Now, that's a thing called echolalia. Echolalia, as defined by the Oxford English Dictionary-ish, is a repetition of words or sounds to denote a mental condition, and a repetition of words by a child learning how to speak. Do you know someone who will just make a sound randomly? Do you know someone who will repeat or finish a song lyric after the first part has been sung? Well, me, I do those things. And I'll make random computer noises when I'm working on computers, like doo-doo-doo-doo. It's the Windows shutdown sound. If you know, you know. IT is wild sometimes. The shit that you hear when people don't think you're listening. Now, my flavor of neurodivergency is interesting because I have moments where I am hyper aware and I just retain everything around me. But I have other moments when I am completely oblivious and I disassociate and I look like a huge himbo. But some people like that. Anyway, so I was working for a large university at this point, and I was installing a computer for someone in a very specific finance office, if you know what I mean. Now, he was sitting on the other end of the office on his phone. Baby, I'm gonna leave her. It's been over between us for years. Okay. No, I didn't take your friend, let alone anyone on a date. I'm not even on Tinder. Okay. No, it's not chlamydia. I was tested for that last week. Okay. Now, this is how I knew I was not being messed with. Audibly, from the other side of the room, I heard through the handset, she said you fucked in the bathroom before the entrees came out. At this exact moment, I had just finished managing all of the cables underneath his computer. I peered around his desk to see if there was a direct route for me to leave. There was not. So I stood up fast, and then I scuttled out of his office like a crab. Pretty traumatic when it happened, but kind of funny after. That was a weird time in my life. I was going through something that I really didn't know I was going through, and my marriage ended because of it. But that's a story for another time. Let me tell you about Cheryl. Cheryl had a password problem, and I think she did it on purpose just so she could do shit like this. And she spoke with a raspy, smokery voice. Oh, Josh, thank you so much for coming. You know how bad I am at passwords. Oh, yeah, no problem. It happens to us all. Oh, you know, I just let my kids and my grandkids do this for me. Oh, do they set your passwords? The answer to this question is very important. Oh, no, I do that all by myself. Oh, okay, well, let's try a couple. Click, 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 clack. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed, it's wrong. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Whoa, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. So then I clicked the little I to see what the password was. Oh my God, Snowball Queen 1972. It should say Snowball Queen 1971. Oh, so do you like winter sports or skiing? Oh no, I hate the cold. And it was at that moment that she looked me dead in the eye, pursed her lips and went, oh, okay. Why don't you try that and we'll see if it works. Click, 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 clack. Oh my God, it works. Thank you so much. Oh, okay. Oh, great. Okay, see ya. 1 hour later. Oh. Oh. Oh my God, not that kind of snowball. Sweet Cheryl. Oh, who's so proficient at a specific type of oral that she's a queen? Oh my God, Kel's a motherfucking prees. Was that trauma? Absolutely. That one broke me. I started to think about different interactions that I had with people, with friends, with family, coworkers. I just started to deep dive. And I started thinking about things that I didn't think about for years. And then, with the help of therapy, and the unwavering sense of not wanting to feel broken, to feel normal, I started to peel away an onion of truth. Now, something happened to me in my adult life that I never experienced before, and something was taken from me. And this is grossly abridged but I think you'll get the gist. One night, my partner came home very, very drunk, and I was very, very tired. They made sexual advances toward me, and I said no. They continued, and I said no, please no. They continued, I never said yes. They continued, I never said yes, and they said, it'll only take a second. I never said yes. And then, when it was over, I rolled over and I cried and I fell asleep. And the next day, it was like nothing happened. Life went on. And then I didn't think about it for years. And then, years later, it was like my brain was connecting the dots in my unconscious mind. I started to feel hate, anger, the raw emotion. And I started to hear these intrusive thoughts, these self-harming thoughts. And I didn't know where this anger, this vitriol, this acid came from. And one day we were laying in bed and I said, I want to hurt you. I never will, but I want to. Who are you? Where did this come from? Who have you become? And it was at that moment that my brain told me that you are no longer worthy of romantic love. And now it shall be. Now I know that I am worthy, and I'm not the worst, most terriblest person to have ever walked the earth. Jury's still out. Kidding. I just wanted to feel accepted. I just wanted to feel loved. I just wanted to feel normal. And it felt like that feeling was long gone and never to be. Now, since divorcing, I've had some situationships and some flings, but nothing so special as when I met a person. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some special people in my life, and that is a thing. Not being able to keep relationships and friendships because of neurodivergency. But this person, they made me feel everything. And it was so effortless. They championed me. They encouraged me. They believed in me when I was convinced I wasn't worthy. And I wanted to be the same for them. I wanted to be their champion. I wanted to be their bastion of safety, honesty, and hope. I would pull down the moon if they asked me. I would travel the country, the world, if they said, I want to see you. I wanted to be their good night text, their I miss you text, their I'm safe text. I'll always yearn for them and burn for them. Our time was short, but it was magical. They brought out the best in me until a time that I drank poison because I was thirsty. I let the intrusive thoughts win because I was reminded that I am not worthy of romantic love. I facilitated the demise of something that in time could have been beyond special. And I have to live with that. And they uttered words that shattered me, and I deserved them. And I'm sorry for them. And maybe if there is a way or a how or a, you get it. You get it. I'll always second guess my brain though. Oh, you happy? Really happy? Really, really happy? Nope, because I'm going to fuck that up for you because you don't deserve it. But I do. And so do you and everybody in this room. And it's okay if our brains don't let us accept something. It doesn't make us bad, it just makes things different. And sometimes we're reminded of the good and the bad, and we just go into a deep, dark spiral and intrusivity. And I'm not gonna talk about that right now. And sometimes you think about a person and how they held your hand in the car on the way to the train station like they never wanted to let go. And you feel warm and full. And you can't stop smiling. Maybe, right? In the last days of May 2022, I was driving home from watching a hockey game at a local bar near my parents lived. And it started raining. Fog rolled in. And I knew those roads so well. And then I lost control. And then my brain shut off. And the next thing that I knew, I was climbing out of my car window with one shoe on. And I had a zip-up hoodie and shorts on. Then I started walking around my car to find my other shoe and my phone, and then I slid into a ditch. My legs were covered in thorny vines. And it didn't matter where I put my hands. I felt like I got pulled deeper. It didn't matter where I pushed or pulled. It felt like I got pulled deeper. And the rain started falling faster and harder. The fog got thicker. Thunder started rolling in. I could feel the wet to my bones. I started to feel cold. I never feel cold. I was dazed. My heart was beating. My eyes were blurry. I started to feel anxious and embarrassed. Oh, God, my parents are going to be so mad. And then I started drifting to sleep, and then jerking myself awake. And that went on for hours, 4, I think. Didn't matter where I put my hands. Didn't matter how tight I grabbed the thorns. It didn't matter. I kept going down deeper. And then I started feeling something I haven't felt in a long time. Fear. My mind raced. I thought of all of the times I was happy, I was sad, I was anxious, I was depressed, a lot of those. And all the times I felt love, there's a lot of those too. Maybe if I think hard enough, I can feel her hand again. Now at this point, you're probably thinking, I'm going to say something like that's crazy, has crazy epiphany, like big God stuff, like, no. All I thought was, why did that airbag have to go off? I don't deserve another second chance. There's someone who could be using the resources that I'm taking up. I'm not worthy of this. And then I tucked my head in my shoulder, and I exhaled, and I crossed my arms. and I exhaled, and I closed my eyes, and I exhaled. And then my body started to feel light, and I started to drift away. And then I heard sirens and shouting, and I responded. And then they pulled me out of the ditch, and then they brought me to a hospital. And I think about that night all the time. Hyperfixations work both ways. Why me? How? Is there some sort of reason? Am I supposed to find it? I don't know. But I started to do some really introspective work on myself. November 17th, 2023, I received confirmation of an assessment that I took, and that confirmation was to confirm that I'm a level 1 autistic person. It was like someone handed me a candle when I was standing in a cave. Everything started to make sense. All the times that I had problems with social cues, the amount of energy that it took for me to be social, the nose thing, textbook stimming, all of the meltdowns that I had that I'll never forget, and that time that I drank poison because I was thirsty. It all started to make sense. Now I started telling people, and some people said, oh, that's great, they were positive. But then others, oh, you can't be autistic, you're not autistic. I've known you your whole life, and you're not autistic. But it didn't matter. I felt validated. I felt more like me than ever. My existence is valid. My path, however circuitous, is valid. You are valid. Neurodivergent brains are funny. Sometimes we glom onto a thing and we hyperfixate. In this case, to a fault. My brain forced me to do this. My need to speak was so great that my brain drove me to stand here and tell my story. Part of it. But that's the struggle, right? Between feeling and understanding. Sometimes we feel too much, and sometimes not at all. And sometimes we forget how to feel, so we look to others because we don't want to feel different, even though we are. And then we realize none of that matters. And then we realize how difficult it's been living in a neurotypical world. It's been hard. And I share this with people that look like me, like you, your friends, your family, every race, creed, and I feel like all I've ever done is fall. And all I've ever done is get back up. Like I've always had an airbag. And I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still here. Thanks.